Hello, I'm Lisa, a pediatric physiotherapist for babies and toddlers. I've seen firsthand how small, everyday habits in modern parenting can lead to big issues for our babies. In this podcast, I'm going to show you how to prevent those issues, treat them if necessary, and restore the joy to parenting. Hello, and welcome back to the Best for Baby podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Rogers Sargent, and today I'm joined by the lovely Jade Harkness. She's a postnatal doula from the Mamas Wellbeing Hub. Now, I've had a look through Jade's social media and her website, and you can just see she is very passionate about holding space for and supporting new mums in those tricky days of having a little baby. So, Jade, I am very excited to have you here. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm also very, very excited.
So Jade, I think to start, can you please just explain to us exactly what a postnatal doula is and how it differs from a doula?
Yeah, of course. So doulas come in all shapes and sizes. You can have birth doulas, death doulas, postpartum doulas, which is exactly what I trained as. So birth doula helps you prepare for and during your birth. And just purely because of having my 2.5-year-old, I just didn't like the idea of being on call for births. So that's why I trained as a postnatal doula. So I help mums while they're pregnant still, but also after baby's born. So prepare for and during those early days with baby. So yeah, I'm a postnatal doula. I help with like emotional support, practical support if it's an in-person session, but I'm very passionate about making care accessible to everyone. So whether you're local or not, can afford in-person care or not, I like to make care accessible wherever you are, whatever your situation. Um, so the practical support can come as guidance virtually as well. So it doesn't just have to be that in-person care. Information support as well is something that is key. Lots of mums come to me with lots of questions, and if they know the answer, they feel better just having that knowledge. So that informational support and guidance as well is key. Yes, that's a little bit about me and postnatal doula. Not just a postnatal doula. I, I'm I'm a mum of one little toddler tornado. I had done a workshop with a hypnobirthing teacher, and she referred to her boys as toddler tornadoes, and it's stuck with me ever since. I love it. He's 2.5. He's called Noah. So I live with him and my husband Alex. I'm still doing my NHS admin job. But very much my passion is supporting new mums, as you so kindly introduced me, as holding their space and helping them feel seen, held, heard in those early days of motherhood.
And so, yeah, what exactly is holding that space for them? What does it look like when I know you've spoken about being in person and not in person, but maybe take us through both of those scenarios. How do you do that?
So virtually, I do that through daily WhatsApp check-ins. So I have a WhatsApp support membership where it's just one monthly fee. Um, and you can come to me Monday to Friday, 8 to 8. So anything that's kind of bothering you, you feel overwhelmed by anything, just someone who will sit there and listen to what you're saying rather than trying to fix it or change it. Sometimes in motherhood, a lot of people come to me and just say, this is just how I feel. And we don't want that to be changed. We just want to feel held and heard and understood that that's how it feels and that's rough.
Mm.
Then we can pick ourselves up and kind of process that and kind of move through it afterwards. So that's what the virtual support is there for. It's a big emotional holding support, basically. And then in person, that can be debriefs, and that can be done virtually as well. So yeah, again, just listening, holding that space, helping people put boundaries in place. That's an emotional support tool I like to use. I do that in workshops as well. Um, so having those boundaries just so you feel like you matter too. It's not just,
Mm.
oh, I've got this new baby, come and see the baby. Like mum's important too. So it's important for her to feel held and included in all of the decisions of when visitors come and having boundaries around that and what actually works for mum, not just, yeah, here's my baby. What about me kind of feeling.
It's so
Yeah.
true because I remember as soon as, well, not so much, I had my daughter during the pandemic, so we didn't have visitors. But when my sister, who her children are much, much older, but when they were little, I remember we'd arrive at their house and you'd just run straight past my sister and her husband and go for the little ones, you know? And it's so true. And even as the mom, I remember thinking, if she slept, then it feels like I've slept. If she's eating and feeding fine, I feel like I'm sorted as well. You kind of lose all perspective and stop worrying that you have your own needs as well.
Yeah, and that's where the emotional holding kind of comes in, that emotional support, just making sure you've ate, making sure you've had a glass of water today, making sure you've slept, giving you that 5 minutes so you haven't got to worry about the crying baby while you just have a quick wash or a shower.
Okay.
Like,
So you would
just
actually
holding
care
that
for the baby
space.
in those
Yeah,
moments and give the mom time.
yeah. Whatever the mum needs, really.
I see.
Because sometimes they don't want to invite like their mum or their mother-in-law in and just dash off. So it's nice to have that external person sometimes. I found that a lot in my own motherhood. You try and put on a brave face for your own family,
Mm.
and it's when you have someone external you can really open up to. My space was a mum and baby yoga group every week. It felt like my safe haven, a little sanctuary that I went to, and she remembered that I was Jade, not Noah's mum. And that felt
Oh,
really important to me.
yes.
Um, so that was really special. And that's actually what started my postnatal doula journey off, because she was training to be a postnatal doula, my yoga teacher.
Oh.
That's kind of how I found out all about it, really. But yeah,
Okay, so tell us, yes, how did you get into it? Because I know you've also spoken about your own difficulties with postnatal anxiety, which I've been very open about. I had it very badly. But I know you've spoken about that, and did that all kind of come together? How did you look to changing what you were doing?
it was primarily having my son and seeing that gap in the postnatal care. You have the midwives for 10 days and then on the phone until day 28. And then you're handed over to the health visitors who are so overwhelmed. It's ridiculous. And you go and you get the baby weighed and they're like, "Hi, how are you?" I'm like, "Yeah, had a bit of a rough day. Oh, have you been to your GP?" It was just so rushed and you didn't get that personal one-to-one support. So I just felt a massive gap in the system. And then I started the mum and baby yoga group, and that honestly was my safe haven. Like I said, it just felt like a sanctuary, and I'd go in and we'd kind of do a bit of circle time before doing some yoga and kind of say how our week was, one thing we were grateful for, and kind of like a little check-in with ourselves. Some weeks I wouldn't say anything, some weeks I'd let it all out. One week I sat there and just cried while
Mm.
they all just held my space. And it just made such a difference to my motherhood journey. Like those first months, we said the postnatal anxiety, mine started in the August and my son was born in the November, so I had it antenatally as well.
Okay.
But those hormones heightening that mental health struggle, it was just a lot. It was a lot. And then seeing the gap in the support as well. I had to move house while my son was 4 months old because we had damp and mold, which was
Oh,
obviously not good with a
gosh.
newborn. So it all just kind of piled on top of each other, I think. Um, so yeah, that mum and baby yoga group was like my little sanctuary. And she mentioned one day that she was doing this course to become a postnatal doula. And you know when something just kind of clicks in your head and you're
Mm.
like, this sounds like me. Like I want to help mums feel
Yeah.
seen, held, supported in their journey, the way she helped me feel. So I looked into it a little bit, and just for a bit of background, I always wanted to be a midwife. I just never wanted to go to university and come. kind of have the debt and the study, and then I had my son, and I just didn't want to be away from him. And that's where the postnatal anxiety, and it did turn to a bit more of a depression when I went back to work. So I only had to go back to 2 days a week. So I count myself very, very lucky that I could do that. And he was with our mums those 2 days and didn't go to nursery till he was two. So I was in a very, very fortunate position, but I just struggled so much leaving him. So
Mm,
when I found out I could do something along the same sort of line as a midwife, but without that medical
mm,
training that you needed, I was like, this is just, it sounds like it's all for me. So I had a little look into it and I went with Unique Postnatal, who are a postnatal support training provider. So they do the doula qualification, but then they also do workshops and things to help you gain extra knowledge or continue your professional development as well. And it just kind of all fell into place, really.
okay.
Yeah.
And
So
so with it, talking about the anxiety, what sort of things do you help the mother to do to to work on that, to improve that?
I feel nervous system care is a big one.
Sorry, what is that?
Nervous system care. So
Okay.
kind of working through the breathing exercises. One thing I do a lot is 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can smell, 2 things you can touch, 1 thing you can taste, kind of working through that, and it helps just ground you during that. And that's all think so far all I've been doing is things that I've learned through grounding for myself. So yeah, um, some meditations I've put together as well to help mums in those early days and weeks, just so they feel a little bit less alone. Um, yeah,
Yes. So it's like having a friend who's come by to be one-sided almost, that just is there to listen and absorb and offer support without you, like in a normal friendship you would be doing it, backwards and forwards, and as a new mum you can't offer that back so
like,
easily.
bless you. Yeah, yeah,
Gosh, and if
absolutely.
you think back, like, I mean, I was, yeah, very, very anxious and I had a lot of struggles in those early days. With your training now, is there something you would look back and say to yourself or teach yourself now to just help you provide yourself with support when you were going through that time?
It's a good question.
I mean, were you doing all your nervous
Yeah.
system exercises and grounding then?
Probably why I struggled so much
Yeah.
because in the cracks of motherhood it just slipped. Like, um, I did struggle to help myself a lot. I would definitely find a postnatal doula if I'd have known about them.
Mm.
Just to have that external someone to come in and just take all that pressure away, definitely. One thing I always told myself that has stuck with me is all is well. And
Oh,
that is probably one thing that just kind of stuck
mm,
throughout. So I'd probably remind myself of that a little bit more than I did. This is temporary. Each phase is temporary.
yeah,
Um, that is something that even now, with a toddler, I have to remind myself of.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
just those little affirmations, just maybe
yeah,
practicing them a little bit more. Practice the
yeah,
affirmations so they kind of sink into your subconscious rather than
yeah,
kind of forcing them in the moment.
yeah.
Um,
It's funny you say
yeah, definitely.
this is temporary. I remember similar, but like different. But someone had said to me, the first 3 months are the hardest. If you can get through those 3 months, you're okay. Um, and so it was like that kind of idea of this is temporary. It's going to be easier after 3 months. And then you get to 3 months, and someone else said to me, oh, yeah, the 3 months are the toughest, but it's the first 6 months really. After that, it's much easier. And then I had the next temporary milestone in my head, and I found that really helpful. Um,
Yeah.
and then, by 6 months, I think I'd clocked on to what was happening. And I said to myself, the first year will be the hardest after, yeah. And you kind of go like that. But it is definitely so reassuring to remember that this will pass, because in the moment you just you don't think that way. You feel like you're failing or you want to be doing better and you forget that. Um, and with, you said you've got a 2.5-year-old and it's still hard. What sort of age does your support go up to?
So I personally like to offer up to a year,
Okay,
purely because I started transitioning back into work sort of 10, 11 months to kind of return at a year. And that was my biggest struggle,
okay,
going back to work. I found the newborn days a lot easier personally than I did that return to work. And something I'm really passionate about doing going forward after the last couple of months is supporting with potty training as well.
oh,
Because honestly, if I could do the newborn days again over potty training, I would take it in a heartbeat.
yes.
I could not, I still do not my bag.
Yes,
Um, And if I feel like that, other mums must feel like that.
yes.
But yeah, so yeah, I typically my postpartum support, your hormones are still all over the place for a good couple of years. So I like to support for that first year, as
Okay.
long as mums need it. And if I was with them at 1 year and they said, no, I still feel like I need a couple of more months, I wouldn't just obviously cut them off.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, typically a year for me, but
okay.
um, yeah.
Okay, so there is scope for going over that if people feel they need it, yeah. Um,
Because you don't just stop needing support. Like you're going through this, like your baby's learning life for the first time. You're learning to be a mum for the first time, or a mum of two for the
yes.
first time. It doesn't just stop there, does it? So yeah.
And what do you find are like the most common, not anxieties, because anxiety itself is there without a reason for it, but like difficult areas or areas where mums really battle? I know you mentioned going back to work. What are the other sort of typical things that you see, like patterns of areas that mums really battle with?
There's definitely that hormone dip in the first sort of 3 to 5 days. That is a big one. And so many people don't realise what's going on in their body at that time. So that's something I like to work on antenatally as well. Just because if you feel like you know what's happening in your body, when it actually happens, it feels so much less scary.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, when your hormones dip day 3 to 5 and those pregnancy hormones, estrogen, progesterone, all drop suddenly, you can be really tearful, really anxious, really overwhelmed. And the most calm, collective person could be like a completely different person because these hormones are dramatically leaving their body.
mm,
So that is definitely a big one. Returning to work is another big one. Um, Probably like the little milestones as they come around as well. They come up quite a bit. And also the 4 month regression and the sleep regression where they're learning new skills and things. As
mm.
those different regressions hit, they're probably good struggles that come up as well.
Okay. And that's because the
Mm,
baby becomes a little bit more demanding or needs more.
yeah, yeah. It's a baby evolving, you evolving, adjusting to those changes in patterns and routines, and yeah, getting used to each stage, really, isn't it?
Yeah, gosh. And so do you kind of counsel mums, when they've gone through, because presumably there will be mums who will end up with you or a postnatal doula who wasn't with them from the start. So they've realized they need support because maybe they've had a difficult birth or they've just had a really tricky time in the early days. Do you kind of go through that, talk through that, counsel them with that?
So birth debriefs are definitely something
Oh, birth
we can do.
debriefs. Okay.
Yeah, so we can do a bit of debriefing around that. One thing I have supported a lady with is she ended up in hospital with her little boy, um, who was 15 weeks old. Turned out he had RSV and then it turned to bronchiolitis. And that's something I did offer a debrief for because she felt the trauma of
Mm.
blue light in her son to hospital and then being
Gosh.
in hospital with him for like 48 hours while he was on oxygen and things like that. Um, so we had the WhatsApp support that I offer, and then the debrief kind of after is what I offered her. So
Okay.
yeah, working through each stage, definitely. Sometimes you just need a minute to process what's gone on
Mm,
in your head because
mm.
you go on, as mums, we live on autopilot, don't we? Just to get through each kind of stage we're in. So yeah, sometimes you just need like just someone external just to let it all out to and debrief with. So yeah.
Yeah. I like the way it's called a debrief because sometimes that's exactly what we need, and it's the thing we don't get because
Mm.
like you said, you don't have time. You don't have time to sit and talk. And if you are lucky enough to have a partner with you raising the baby, or a parent or someone around helping you, when they're with the baby, you go and sleep, or you go and shower, or you go and do something. You don't sit and let it out to someone, because that is a massively traumatic experience, of course, but less traumatic things, what they say, trauma with a little t, just, what's happened to your body and the change in the hormones and things like that, to be able to just have time to talk that out with someone, I think it must be incredibly helpful. Um, and so if someone is with you, if you go face to face, do you spend an hour with them, or is it, over days? How does it work?
Yeah, so I personally would do like 1-to-1 hours,
Okay.
um, do an hour at a time because I know how tough it is going through my own therapy. You have that sort of 50 minutes to an hour and you feel exhausted by the end
Mm,
of it. So I feel like debrief sessions for an hour maximum are kind
okay.
of enough to help you let it out, have someone hold your space, and then kind of go away and you keep processing after
Mm,
you spoke about it. So yeah, yeah, I do them in sort of a like a power hour type thing.
okay. And presumably baby is there with mum while this is happening.
Yeah, yeah, when I'm supporting people, obviously they've all got like young babies, so there's no need for childcare or
Yes.
anything like if they need to feed or change or whatever, of course.
Mm. Okay. And are there any common mistakes that you see, or myths, or things that people think are that are unhelpful, or things that you would like to tell people, oh, just rather do this, or let me dispel that myth for you about those early days? Because, like for me, for example, I was very, very anxious. And then I also had postnatal depression. And I knew this was a possibility for me for a number of, I was anxious before getting pregnant. Um, but I was happy when I was with my daughter. Um, and as soon as she was asleep, and then I couldn't sleep, and she actually was a really good sleeper. And I would lie there and have insomnia and panic and feel anxious, or kind of, if it wasn't just that one-to-one care with her, if I was doing anything else, I was really anxious. So I didn't think that that meant I could be depressed. I didn't think that meant I had a problem, because there were moments when I was fine, which really did. I mean, I had talking therapy, and eventually they said to me, "Oh no, look, you actually need treatment now." Um, but yeah, so that for me, I just assumed it would hit you hard and clear, and you would know, oh, you need help. You've got postnatal depression. And it wasn't. It was like sneaky on me.
Yeah. Yeah, so postnatal depression can hit at any part while your
Mm.
hormones are still adjusting in those first two years typically.
2 years.
Um, yeah, your hormones are still adjusting up to sort of 2 years
Gosh.
postpartum.
So they still call
Mm.
it postnatal depression after at that long after.
I can't say for definite if they still call it postpartum depression, but I know your hormones are still adjusting, which
Okay.
will affect your mental health definitely.
Yes. Sure.
Um, and one thing a lot of people don't know is men can suffer with postnatal depression as well.
Really?
Mm.
Gosh.
Yeah. So if you think their whole life changes, we obviously have the body changes as well, and the physical discomfort and the healing and all of that. But their whole world changes as well. So that shift in their identity is called patrescence. Just like we kind of go through the matrescence. But yeah, the relationship shifts and identity shifts and everything can take its toll on a man as well. So they can actually get what's called postnatal depression as well.
Good gracious. And is that
Mm.
something that you would support with, or a postnatal
So
doula would support?
so yeah, I would go in and support with the whole family, definitely. So if I was even in virtual care a little bit as well, to be honest, like I'd always be open for dad to sit in on the um like if we were doing a Zoom, for example, happy for dad to come in and talk and be a part of it because it's all part of their world as well.
Mm,
And you, you've got to look at the family as a whole while you're supporting them. You can't just zoom in on mum as much as we need that, definitely. It's important that dad gets to debrief and have someone to let that out to because they're trying to hold the weight for their wife, partner, whoever it is as well, aren't they? So they're probably acting like it's all okay to support their partner. And really, they've probably got their own worries and concerns and things they're bottling up as well. So yeah,
gosh,
support definitely is for the family as a whole.
yeah,
When I'm looking after them, yeah, definitely.
sure. And that's so under spoken about. We're not warned about it. Nobody talks about that at all. Um, I spoke with a birth doula and antenatal doula, um, and she was just saying about how traumatic it can be for a partner to watch their partner going through childbirth, and that was something I hadn't thought of before. Um, but I hadn't thought of this either, and I think nobody really talks about that. Um, and it is something that is important, and it is something that should be recognized. But I think people don't talk about any of this enough. And certainly, I'm new to the world of doulas, and I'm learning about them only recently. And it's just not something that is easily found or advised.
No, no. And that's probably the biggest struggle I've found is helping people understand what it is I can do
Yes.
and why it supports them. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely getting the word out there, isn't it? Definitely.
Yes. So you kind of think it would be lovely if, there was just, I don't know, space when you have your antenatal appointments for them to say, oh, look, because as I say, I was identified, you're high risk for postnatal depression, and I had enhanced care afterwards. So the midwife came a bit more often and that sort of thing. But if someone had said to me, this is a road you can go down, so obviously, you've said to me, you want to make it accessible to everyone, in terms of remote and cost and all of that. Um, it's something that I think could have changed things, changed my outcome significantly. But yeah, I was just not aware of it, even working in this field. It's amazing that you found out about it recently. Did you know about doulas before that? No.
No, no, I didn't even know what the word doula meant.
Yeah,
I literally left that yoga session and went and researched it.
gosh.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't have a clue. Did
Oh,
not have a clue. I thought it was just health visitors. I thought that's all we had, health visits and
yes.
GP.
Gosh.
Yeah.
And so on your website, you talk quite a lot about community, or you seem to emphasize the need for a community around the mum. Can you just tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, of course. So that was, I keep going back to this yoga class. It was a massive part of my
Mm,
motherhood journey. But it's those mums that are going through it at the same time as you
mm,
that make all the difference as well. It's those external people. And that's what I'm so passionate about. So having someone external that is either going through it at the same time as you or totally understands the phase you're in, sort of thing, like we do as the professionals in this field, sort of thing. Um, but yeah, meeting mums going through it at the same time as you makes such a difference. Having people around you so you don't feel so alone, and the community doesn't even have to look like it did once upon a time when everyone would gather around you, like in person. It could be those like WhatsApp communities where you can just pick up the phone to someone who's feeding in the middle of the night like you
mm.
are, so you don't feel so alone in those moments because we're all going through it. Um, And when I was in the thick of it, I can remember thinking to myself overnight, somewhere in the world, there's another mum feeding just like I am.
Yeah.
And that always made me feel less alone.
I was going to say
So
that's
that,
such a comforting thought, um,
mm,
because it's so easy to go like, grr, my partner's fast asleep and I'm awake. Yeah, it's so easy to like feel like that, and then to suddenly think that there's another mum out there, going through it as well.
or
And
even
then,
just having that mum that you can just say, this is the fifth time I'm up tonight. I'm so exhausted, and it not matter that it's 2 o'clock in the morning because they know exactly how it feels. So
yes,
even if they don't reply till 7, they don't mind that you're texting them in the middle of the night.
yeah,
Whereas people who aren't going through that at the same time might think, "Why she texts me at 2 o'clock in the morning?"
yeah,
But
yes,
it's just nice to know someone's there, definitely.
yeah. And you've got, do you have coffee meetups or to sort of promote this, or is there something on your website you advertised?
So it's Yeah, it is something I have been doing. I'm kind of going more towards workshops now, but that kind of comes with its own sort of sense of community because it's mums coming together. So yeah, I had been running mamas meetups is what they were called. So I was doing those. I do want to do them virtually a bit again, which again is more accessible for
Yes.
everyone. And yeah, bringing people together in the workshops as well.
Yeah.
That's kind of the route forward for me.
Okay.
Um,
Tell us about the
yeah.
workshops. What do you do in a workshop?
So the one I've done recently is a hypnobirthing and postnatal planning workshop. So I do that with Laura from In Birth Hypnobirthing. So she goes over preparing for birth, and then I spend time with the mums, and it's really a trigger moment for them because it's quite a topic that sometimes they feel a little bit like it's sprung on them and it's like hits them. Oh, I've got to actually start thinking about how life looks with this little baby now.
Yeah.
Um, but those light bulb moments are so important because it just helps prepare them for what's about to come.
Yes.
Um, so that's what the hypnobirthing and postnatal planning workshop is I've been doing. So that's obviously with pregnant women preparing for birth and then when baby's here. Um, and then I've got some in the pipeline that I haven't actually advertised yet. So there's a mum's circle that's going to be coming up, and it's in the Essex area.
Okay.
And then also, I'm collaborating with a lactation consultant as well and bringing a workshop together to prepare for um, postpartum and feeding. And then there's going to be a second part of the workshop that is to support during those early days as well for
Okay.
both just general postpartum and their feeding journey. Um, so that is a couple of workshops coming up. Um,
And so these are um, face-to-face workshops. You do them. Okay.
yeah,
And I suppose
yeah,
that's all. Then they get the sense of community, mums meeting mums.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, how
Yeah, on
lovely.
Saturday I done the hypnobirthing and postnatal workshop with Laura. That was our second time doing it. And as I went to the toilet after, there was a group of mums that were in the second session. They were all swapping numbers and were planning to meet
Wow.
up after baby was born. And that I felt like, oh, like we've made it. That's what we were kind of. That's part of
Yes.
why I was doing it, so mums can kind of come together before baby arrives and meet new people and be a part
Yes.
of a bit more.
That's
It felt special
amazing.
to me.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Mhm.
Um, and are there any really important tips or pieces of advice that you would give someone? I suppose it's the kind of things you cover in your postpartum planning, but when you start off with someone who's about to have a baby, is like your favorite bits of advice.
Preparing people for that day 3 to 5 hormone dip. Um,
No.
that's something I like to work on a lot in the postnatal planning session, definitely, because like I've said, it's so much less scary once you know what you're
Yeah.
expecting. And then also, if it's not in your nature to be a overly down, tearful, anxious person, it could be quite a lot for your partner or immediate support as well. So
Mm.
if mum knows about it, they can prepare their support network for it as well. So that is definitely something that I'm really passionate about helping with antenatally. But also, another thing that has become a really high passion of mine is helping mums understand the importance of skin to skin
Oh,
breastfeeding.
yay, yes.
Um, so we're told so often to max the golden hour and enjoy skin to skin and how it helps feeding and that basic of it. But long term, the benefits are just incredible. And
Mm,
it's only something I learned a couple of months ago when I'd done an Understanding Newborns course as part of my professional development that I realised what a difference skin to
yeah,
skin can make for mum and baby,
yeah,
but also dad and baby as well when you think
yes.
about the paternal mental health. How it can impact and just how much it can regulate in both our bodies as well.
Mm,
So yeah, that is definitely something I'm working on bringing a little bit more
yes.
workshops around.
Oh,
Just to get
that's such a golden one, I must say. Like we often we actually I work with babies a lot of the time who've had brain injuries, and so there's actual lesions in the brain and difficulties like that. And we know that we use skin to skin for the first year of life, even because it has such a good effect on the baby. And very often I teach parents baby massage as a way of bonding. Um, for mum as well. And so skin to skin has for the same sort of reasons as baby massage. And dads very often don't feel comfortable doing the baby massage. So then we teach the dads to do the skin to skin. And sometimes we say, like, that's your job. It makes them feel like they're doing something to help their baby's development, especially when something has gone wrong. Um, but yes, just in happier situations with babies, it's like the most wonderful thing, and it's so easy. It's such an easy, quick thing to do for people. So I love that you brought that up, and it's just made me want to do a podcast on that again. I haven't thought about that for a while, so thank you. Yeah, I love that you brought that up. I wanted to just talk to you a bit because you've spoken about it on your website about your own postnatal anxiety. And how did that look like for you? And knowing that, is it easier for you to identify it in others? And do you have, other than the breathing, is there specific things that you would go through with a mum when you sense that she's battling there, but perhaps hasn't identified it in herself yet?
yeah. So going through it myself, it was the letting other people look after my son.
Okay,
And when I started counselling not long after having Noah
okay.
because I realised it was some PTSD coming up as well. Um, so it was definitely accepting support and letting people help with my child. Um, and feeling like they kind of took over or were wanting to take over when what the support I needed was things that helped me, like cooking a dinner or
Okay.
washing up or those sort of things. Like realizing that it was okay to ask for help and actually
Mm.
being able to accept help were definitely my trigger points, I'd say. Um,
I think I was quite similar with you in that I wanted to look after my baby, and the anxiety came from not being able to do that 100% and maintain home life, everything else 100%. And I think if someone had said to me, just write down a list of jobs that you need done, just write down a list of things to do, or just tell me. But we feel so scared to say that. And when people do come to help, they're there for the baby, they want to hold the baby. And you think, but this is my one moment. Like the other times, I'm changing nappies, or I'm trying to put them to sleep, or I'm trying to. I also just want to hold the baby when it's a lovely moment. I want that for me too.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and I think it would be so much more helpful for them to go and do, like you say, go and cook the food, go and make the tea for everyone, go tidy up the teacups. That would be more helpful. But I think we just never feel like we can do that, or there's pressure to be able to be calm and able to do it all. And I've got dinner going, I can do this, I can do that. Um, so I think if someone had said that to me, to just be blunt and tell people what to do, and it's exactly like you say, you can't accept that support because sometimes it's not the support you want. You want different support.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people come in and they think, oh, it's going to help her if she gets 5 minutes away from having to hold or feed or change or whatever. But what you actually need support with and what people think you need support with are often two completely different things. Um, so when I'm working with clients, I'm definitely very hot on saying, what do you need help with? How are you today? And those sort of open questions so that they have a chance to say, oh, actually, could you wash up or could you
Yeah.
change my bed or could you prep the dinner for the kids before you go or
Oh, wow.
could you go and do the shopping or
Gosh.
like, those open questions just give them that opportunity to think, oh, it's okay to ask for help.
Yes.
Um, so
And to
yeah,
choose.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And you,
important they know that
okay.
choice.
Yeah. Gosh, I
Yeah,
mean, that it would make such a difference if we did have that kind of support. I can imagine it might not, postnatal anxiety is a real thing. It's real. And it might not get rid of it. But I think your journey through these early days are just so much easier with that kind of reassurance.
yeah.
Yeah. What a lovely job. What a lovely
I
thing to
feel
do.
very grateful, very
Yeah.
grateful.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
Gosh. Oh, Jade, thank you so much for coming to chat to us today.
That's okay. Thank you for having me. I've loved it.
It's been so awesome. Yeah. Lovely, lovely to have you.
Thank you, you too.